What makes humans most terrifying? Their unnoticed power, Part 1. The sleek silver ship named Ecliptic Harmony floated in perfect silence high above the blue world called Earth. The ship belonged to the Coalition of Tranquil Species, a very old group of peaceful aliens who watched new worlds for thousands of years. Their job was simple. They studied young races. They decided if those races could join the big peaceful galaxy, or if they needed more time. Senior analyst Vexlar stood at the main viewing window. His body looked like clear crystal, with soft blue light moving inside it. He came from the Lyrathi people, who lived for many centuries and thought very slowly and carefully. Around him, other coalition members worked at glowing panels. Some had soft jelly-like bodies, some had many thin arms, some floated without legs. All of them watched the same screens with calm faces. Today they looked at humans. Vexlar spoke in a smooth, calm voice. On every test we use, their bodies break easily. Their lives end too soon. They show no natural energy fields. Their minds jump from one idea to another without clear order. They fight among themselves all the time. This race will cause no trouble. We can guide them gently when we make first contact. A younger observer named Kalith moved closer. Kalith belonged to the empath species. Their skin changed color with feelings. Right now it showed pale green, which meant worry. Kalith pointed at one screen. The image showed a human worker on Earth. The man lifted a heavy metal beam with his arms and placed it on a tall building. His face looked red and sweaty, but he smiled and talked to his friends. Kalith said, "That worker looks happy, even though the work seems hard. Other species would feel pain and stop. Humans keep going. Why?" Vexlar made a soft sound like gentle wind over glass. That is their weakness. They push their weak bodies too far. They do not know when to rest. Will learn from us to move slowly and safely. Another analyst named Thrime joined them. Thrime had 6 long arms covered in golden fur. Thrime controlled the deep scans. Thrime said, "We see their cities. They build them fast, but they fall apart often. Their machines break. Their air becomes dirty. Their water turns bad. They make weapons that hurt their own people. This is not strength. This is chaos." Everyone nodded, except Kalith. Kalith watched another screen now. It showed human children playing in a park. They ran and laughed and fell down, then got up again. One small child tried many times to climb a tall slide. Each time the child slipped. Each time the child tried again. At last the child reached the top and shouted with joy. Kalith said, "They fail and they try again. They do not give up easily. Is that not a kind of power?" Vexlar turned his crystal head slowly. "No, that is childish behavior. Real power comes from perfect control and long, calm thought. Humans rush. Mistakes. They fix mistakes only to make new ones. We will teach them patience." The team spent many days watching more. Humans drove fast vehicles on crowded roads. They cooked food over open fire. They sang songs when they felt sad. They told stories to their young about brave heroes who fought big monsters. The stories always ended with the hero winning. Thrime recorded everything. Humans use simple tools. They improve those tools little by little over many years. No sudden great leaps. No perfect designs from the start. Just endless small changes. Vexlar felt satisfied. This race will follow our rules easily. They need our help. They will welcome our wisdom. Kalith stayed quiet, but the green on Kalith's skin grew darker. One night cycle, the ship picked up a strong signal from Earth. It came from a place called a news station. Humans spoke with loud voices about a big storm coming to their coast. Many people lived there. The storm would bring high water and strong wind. Vexlar watched humans move fast. They built walls from sand and rock. They carried old people to safe places. They filled bags with food and water. They helped strangers they never met before. Thrime said, "See, they prepare, but their preparations look weak. Sand walls will break. Small bags will not last. The storm will destroy much." Caliph said, "But they do not run away. They stay. They fight the storm with what they have." The storm arrived on the screen. Dark clouds covered the sky. Water rose high. Wind screamed through the streets. Humans lost homes. Humans lost friends. Yet other humans came with boats. They pulled people from water. They shared dry clothes. They gave food to hungry children. When the storm passed, humans started again. They cleared broken wood. They built new houses. They planted new trees. They laughed together at small jokes. Vexlar said, "Interesting. They recover quickly, but this changes nothing. Their bodies stay weak. Their lives stay short. Minds stay scattered." Caliph looked at Vexlar with bright eyes, now showing deep purple, which meant strong feeling. Caliph said, "What if their weakness makes them strong? What if they grow because they must fix things all the time? What if they never stop because they think they are not good enough?" Vexlar made the wind sound again. "That is fear talking, not logic. We have watched many young races. None acted like this, and none became a problem. Humans will join us. They will learn our way." The team turned back to their screens. They marked humans as safe for contact soon. They wrote reports that said low risk, low power, easy to guide. Deep inside the ship, a small warning light blinked once, then went dark. No one noticed. Caliph stayed at the window longest. Caliph watched one human on a beach. The human stood alone, looking at stars. The human whispered words too soft to hear, but Caliph felt them anyway. The feeling came clear and strong. "Want to know everything. I want to go out there." Caliph shivered. The purple on Caliph's skin turned almost black. Far below on the blue world, the human on the beach smiled at the sky. The human did not know anyone watched. The human did not know how strange that smile looked to ancient eyes. The ecliptic harmony waited in silence. The coalition thought they understood humans. They did not understand at all. But soon, they would learn. Many cycles passed on the ecliptic harmony. The coalition team kept watching Earth from their hidden place in space. Vexlar spent time reviewing old data. He felt calm and sure. Humans remained the same weak, scattered race. Nothing new appeared on the screens to change his mind. Then one quiet shift, a bright alert, flashed across the main panel. Thrime moved fast, with all 6 arms tapping controls. The alert came from a small moon far from Earth. Humans had built a mining base there years ago. The base sat on a rock called Luna 7. The humans dug deep for rare metals to make their ships stronger. Now, trouble came. A rogue stellar entity moved through the system. The entity looked like a huge storm made of living plasma. It burned hot. It twisted space around it. Coalition records called such things Tier 7 hazards. Very dangerous. Even coalition ships stayed far away when one appeared. The entity drifted straight toward Luna 7. In 3 standard days, it would reach them. Moon. The plasma storm would melt the mining base and kill everyone inside. Vexlar gathered the team. They watched the screens together. The coalition rule was clear. They never interfered with young races. They only observed. To help too soon could harm natural growth. Caliph asked, "Should we warn them? The humans do not see the danger yet. Their telescopes point mostly at stars, not at this small storm." Vexlar answered, "No, we watch. That is our task. If they die, we note it as a lesson for their species. If they live, we see how they handle danger." Thrime pulled up human communications. The miners talked fast on their radios. The government on Earth sent orders. Evacuate now. Leave everything behind. Big transport ships would arrive in 5 days. The human leader on Luna 7 answered back, "No, we will not leave. This base took 10 years to build. We have families here. We have worked too hard." Vexlar felt a small surprise. Humans argued with their own leaders. That never happened. with other young races. The miners voted, they all chose to stay. They said, "We fix this ourselves." Calith's skin turned bright green with worry. They will die. The storm burns at millions of degrees. Their suits melt in seconds. Vexlar said, "Perhaps they learn hard lessons fast." The team watched without speaking. The humans moved with speed. They dragged big mining machines outside. They welded metal plates together. They pulled engines from old cargo ships. They worked day and night without much rest. One human engineer named Mara led the work. She drew plans on big flat screens. She talked loud and pointed. Mara said, "We make a magnetic shield. We use the big electromagnets from the deep drills. We link them to the fusion reactors. We push the plasma away like a boat pushes water." Other humans laughed at first. Then they listened. They started building. Thrime scanned the work. The design looked messy. Wires hung loose, metal bent in strange shapes. Coalition standards for safety or efficiency. Yet the humans kept going. They tested small parts. They failed many times. Sparks flew. Metal cracked. One test almost burned a whole section of the base. Still, they fixed it and tried again. Vexlar said, "This is pointless. The entity will pass through any shield they build. Their power is too small." Caliph said, "But look at their faces. They believe they can win." 2 days passed. The storm grew closer on the screens. Red and orange fire swirled in huge loops. The miners finished their device. They called it the deflector array. It looked like a giant ring around the base with thick cables running everywhere. Mara stood in front of her people. She spoke over the radio. "Earth, can you hear us? We are ready. Tell everyone back home, we love you." Voices from Earth answered with cheers and tears. The entity arrived. It filled the sky with light so bright, the screens turned white for a moment. Then, the storm hit the moon like a mirror. Wave of fire. The humans turned on their array. Blue magnetic fields snapped into place. The plasma pushed against the shield. It bent. It twisted. The shield held for 10 seconds, then started to crack. Vexlar leaned closer. "This is the end." But the humans did not stop. They ran to backup generators. They fed more power into the array. They shouted numbers and commands. One human fell from heat exhaustion. Others carried him away and kept working. The shield grew brighter. The plasma storm slowed. It pushed sideways instead of straight. The entity fought hard. It roared with energy that shook the moon. Yet little by little, the storm moved off course. After 1 full hour, the entity passed by Luna 7. It left the moon behind and drifted into deep space. The base stood, mostly. The shield burned out. Many machines melted. Some humans needed medical help, but the core buildings survived. The miners cheered. They hugged. They cried. They laughed loud. Mara sat on the ground, covered in black dust. She looked up at the stars and said, "We got lucky again." Her team agreed. "Yes, luck saved us." Vexlar stared at the screen. He felt something strange inside his crystal body. Not fear, not yet, just a small cold feeling. Thrime spoke quietly. "They should have died. All logic says they die, yet they live." Caliph turned deep purple. "They think it was luck. They do not see what they did. They built something impossible with scrap and hope. They pushed their bodies past breaking. They refused to quit." Vexlar tried to stay calm. It was one event. Chance played a big part. Their device worked by accident. Thrime pulled new scans. The array used human math that Coalition models called unstable. Yet it held against a Tier 7 force. The miners changed the design 10 times during the fight. Each change came from quick thinking under fire. Caliph said, "They adapt faster when death comes close. Their minds speed up. Their bodies ignore pain." "Them." Vexlar answered, "No race does this. Not like this." The team sat in silence. They watched the humans clean up. They saw Mara walk among her people. She checked wounds. She thanked workers. She planned repairs already. One miner said to Mara, "Chief, what if another storm comes?" Mara smiled. "We build better next time." Vexlar felt the cold feeling grow. He spoke to the team. "We file this as anomaly. Not threat, not yet. We keep watching." Kalith looked at Vexlar with steady eyes. "What if this happens again, and again, and they keep winning?" Vexlar made no answer. Deep in the ship another warning light blinked twice, then stayed dark longer. No one saw it yet. On the moon, Mara looked at the stars again. She whispered, "Thank you for letting us stay." She did not know eyes from far away watched her. She did not know the watchers started to feel something new. Doubt. The ecliptic harmony stayed quiet. The coalition thought one victory changed everything. Nothing. They were wrong. The humans had only started. Years slipped by for the coalition team, while only a short time passed on Earth. The ecliptic harmony stayed in its hidden orbit. Vexlar reviewed reports every cycle. He saw humans spread outward. They built stations on Mars. They sent ships to the asteroid belt. They even landed small teams on Venus, with thick suits and heavy machines. Vexlar called it reckless. Other analysts agreed. Humans moved too fast for their own good. The coalition decided the time had come. They would make first contact. They prepared a diplomatic ship called Gentle Approach. It carried envoys from 3 species. Vexlar joined them as observer. Kalith came too, with growing unease. Thrime stayed on the Harmony, to watch from afar. The Gentle Approach entered Earth orbit. Humans noticed right away. Their radars lit up. Their governments sent messages of surprise and welcome. The humans invited the aliens to land in a wide-open place called a desert. Humans built a big tent with air and light. Talk as equals. Vexlar stepped out first. His crystal body shone under the hot sun. Human leaders waited in neat rows. They wore simple clothes, but stood tall. A woman named Ambassador Lin spoke for them. She said, "Welcome to Earth. We are happy to meet you. We have dreamed of this day for a long time." Vexlar answered in calm words, "We come in peace. We offer guidance. Your world is young. Your path can be smooth if you follow our ways." The talks began inside the tent. Humans asked many questions. They wanted to know about faster travel, about clean energy, about long life. The coalition envoys answered carefully. They showed pictures of perfect cities where no one fought, and machines did all hard work. Ambassador Lin listened, then smiled. She said, "That sounds nice, but we have some things to show you too. Come see what we built." They took the aliens to a nearby base. Humans called it Cascade Station. The building looked plain from outside. Inside, a huge machine waited. It stood tall. With rings of metal and glowing tubes, humans named it the Cascade Engine. They said, "Watch this." A human scientist named Dr. Rao stepped forward. He explained, "We use small black holes. We make them on purpose. We feed them tiny bits of matter. We fold space with the energy. We travel far without waiting years." Vexlar felt surprise inside. The coalition knew about wormholes. They used special crystals and mind power to open them safely. Human methods looked crude. They burned normal fuel. They risked explosions. They made the holes unstable on purpose. Dr. Rao said, "Ready. Test in 3, 2, 1. The engine hummed. Blue light swirled. A small hole appeared in the air. It grew. It pulled nearby objects. Then a ship model flew through. The model vanished. 1 second later, it came out on the other side of the room. Humans cheered. They clapped hands. Vexlar spoke quietly. "This method wastes much energy. It risks tearing space. It cannot be stable for long trips." Dr. Rao laughed. "We improved it 10 times last year. We use what we have. We make it work anyway." Kalith watched the humans closely. Their eyes shone bright, their bodies leaned forward with excitement. They talked over each other. They argued about small fixes. They planned bigger versions already. After the demo, the talks continued. Ambassador Lin said, "We thank you for your offer. We will think about your guidance. But we like our way too. We fix problems ourselves. We learn from mistakes." Vexlar tried to explain. "Humans rush. You break things often. You hurt your world. You fight each other. Why not slow down and live in peace like us?" Lin answered, "Because when we slow down, we stop growing. We need pressure. We need hard times. It makes us better." Vexlar felt the words strange. He did not understand. That night on the gentle approach, Kalith asked Vexlar to look at secret medical scans. They took them during handshakes. Human bodies showed odd things. Bones grew stronger under stress. Muscles rebuilt after damage. Cells fought poisons that killed other species fast. Brains had extra paths that woke up when hurt badly. Kalith said, "They heal in ways we cannot. Their young learn everything the old know. Each new group gets smarter, faster. Their numbers grow quick. They spread like fire." Vexlar said, "That is not power. That is survival instinct. They fear death, so they fight hard." Kalith's skin turned dark purple. What if they do not fear it? What if they just refuse to lose? What if every limit we see, they see as a challenge? Vexlar stayed silent. Days later, the humans gave another gift. They showed a new ship. It used the Cascade engine. It carried 50 people. It flew to Mars in hours, not months. The Coalition envoys watched from space. The ship moved smooth. It opened a hole. It closed it. It arrived safe. Humans cheered on their screens. They said, "See, we can reach the stars now. We share this with everyone." Vexlar felt a small crack in his calm. He spoke to the team. "This technology should not work. It breaks rules, yet it does. They do not use our perfect tools. They use junk and will. They make it better each try." Thrime sent a message from Harmony. "New scans show more. Humans change their own genes now. They fix sickness before birth. They make bodies stronger for space. They say it is normal medicine." Kalith said, "They think everyone can do this. They do not hide secrets. They share everything. They believe weakness is normal and strength comes from effort." Vexlar looked at the blue world below. He saw cities grow. He saw ships launch. He saw humans laugh and work and dream. He said, "We must report this carefully. Humans are not ready for full contact. They need more watching." The envoys returned to the Harmony. The diplomatic ship left Earth orbit. Humans waved goodbye. They said, "Come back soon. We have much to learn from each other." Vexlar stood at the window longest. He watched the small blue dot. He remembered Ambassador Lin. Smile. She looked kind. She looked sure. Inside Vexlar, something shifted. Not fear. Not yet. Just a quiet question. What if they keep going? What if they never stop? What happens when they notice they do not need our help? Kalith joined him. Kalith said, "They already do not need it. They just do not know it yet." The ship turned away. The team filed reports. They marked humans as interesting, not dangerous, not yet. But the reports grew longer each cycle. More pages, more details, more questions without answers. On Earth, Ambassador Lin stood on a hill. She looked at the night sky. She whispered, "We did it. We touched the stars." She smiled big. She did not know watchers felt cold inside their ancient hearts. She did not know the galaxies started to feel small. The ecliptic Harmony flew silent. The Coalition thought they still controlled the future. They held that thought tight. It would not last much longer. The Coalition stayed quiet after the first contact. They pulled back their ships. They watched from farther away. Vexlar told the team, "We need more data before we decide next steps. Humans move too fast. We must understand them better." Many more cycles passed. Humans kept building. They sent ships to distant stars. They made colonies on cold worlds. They traded with each other across empty space. The coalition saw no big wars yet, only small fights that ended quick. Then the Zorath grew restless. The Zorath were a strong species in the coalition. They had sharp claws, thick armor, and ships built for battle. They believed young races needed tests to prove worth. The Zorath Council said, "Humans act bold. They claim stars too soon. We will remind them who rules this galaxy." Vexlar heard the plan. He spoke against it. "We watch. We do not test. They are not ready for our strength." The Zorath leader answered, "We use small force, just a border incident, no full war. We push, they bend, is all." The coalition allowed it. They thought humans would surrender fast. The Zorath sent 3 cruisers to a human outpost called Haven 9. The outpost sat on a rocky planet with thin air. Humans mined there for fuel. They had few defenses, just small guns and patrol ships. The Zorath arrived without warning. Their big ships blocked the sky. They sent a message: "Leave this world, or we take it by force." Humans answered back, "This is our home. We built it. We stay." The Zorath laughed. They fired warning shots that burned holes in the ground. They moved closer. On Haven 9, the human commander named Reyes gathered his people. He said, "They want to scare us. We do not scare easy. We fight smart. We fight hard." The humans had 300 fighters. Most were miners and engineers. They owned old rifles. They had work drones. They had mining explosives. They had nothing like Zorath weapons. Reyes said, "We use the land. We hide. We hit and run. We make them pay for everything." Step. The humans moved fast. They dug tunnels under the red dirt. They placed traps in narrow canyons. They hid drones in caves. They painted their suits to match the rocks. The Zorath landed troops. They marched in neat lines. They expected easy victory. The first attack came at dawn. Zorath soldiers advanced toward the main camp. Humans waited in silence. Then small explosions went off under the ground. Zorath armor cracked. Legs broke. Bodies fell. Surviving Zorath fired big guns. Humans ducked behind rocks. They shot back with rifles. The bullets bounced off armor, but some found weak spots: eyes, joints, neck seals. Zorath pushed forward. Humans retreated. They led the enemy into tight valleys. More traps waited: falling rocks, sharp metal spikes, hidden pits. One Zorath squad chased a small human group into a dead end. The humans turned and fought hand to hand. They used knives. They used rocks. They used broken tools. A human woman with one arm missing kept swinging a metal bar, until a Zorath fell. The Zorath pulled back. They lost 20 soldiers. Humans lost 5. Reyes spoke over radio. "Keep moving. Do not let them rest." Night came. The Zorath set up camp with bright lights. Humans sent swarms of small drones. The drones carried tiny bombs. They flew low. They hit fuel tanks. They hit power lines. Explosions lit the dark. Zorath ships shook. The Zorath commander grew angry. He ordered airstrikes. Big lasers cut the ground. Humans hid in deep caves. The lasers missed most. Humans answered with railguns hidden in asteroids nearby. The guns fired fast metal slugs. They punched holes in Zorath cruiser hulls. One ship lost engines. It crashed on the planet. The Zorath sent more troops. Humans kept fighting. They fought when hurt. They fought when tired. A human soldier lost both legs. He crawled to a bomb. He pulled the pin. He took 3 Zorath with him. Another human pilot flew a small cargo ship straight into a Zorath landing craft. Fire. Days passed. The Zorath lost 2 cruisers. The third one stayed high to avoid railguns. On the ground, Zorath troops grew fewer. Humans kept coming. They patched wounds with tape. They ate cold food. They slept in shifts. They never stopped. One Zorath soldier captured a wounded human. The human laughed through blood. He said, "You think this hurts? This is just Tuesday." The Zorath did not understand Tuesday, but he felt cold fear. The Zorath commander sent a final message to his ships. Retreat. We cannot win here. The remaining cruiser left orbit. It carried broken soldiers and shame. On Haven 9, the humans cheered. They hugged. They cried. They buried their dead. They started repairs right away. Reyes stood on a hill covered in dust. He looked at the sky. He said, "We held, they ran." His people nodded. "We always do." Back on the ecliptic harmony, Vexlar watched every recording. He saw humans fight past pain, past fear, past reason. He saw them smile while bleeding. He saw them plan while dying. Kaleth sat beside him. Kaleth's skin stayed black with shock. Kaleth said, "They did not use fancy weapons. They used trash and courage. They lost parts of themselves and kept going." Thrime added, "Scans show their bodies change in battle. Adrenaline floods them. Pain signals shut off. Minds focus sharp. Their will overrides biology." Vexlar spoke slow. This was not desperation. This was normal for them. They call it defense. They call it duty. They call it life. Kaleth said, "The Zorath thought humans weak. The Zorath ran. The Zorath fear them now." Vexlar felt the cold inside grow big. He said, "We thought they hid power. They do not hide it. They do not see it. They think everyone can endure this. They think everyone can fight like this." Thrime said, "Worst part, they teach their young the same. They say try harder, never quit, push past limits. They believe limits are lies." Vexlar looked at the screens. He saw Reyes help carry wounded. He saw a child on Haven 9 hand water to fighters. He saw humans rebuild walls already. Vexlar whispered, "They do not measure themselves against us. They measure against what they were yesterday. Each day they grow stronger. They do not notice." Kaleth said, "What happens when they notice?" No one answered. The team sent urgent messages to the Coalition Council. They asked for emergency meeting. They said reclassify humans now. Vexlar ended his report with quiet words. Humans are not a young race pretending to be strong. They are a strong race pretending to be weak. The ecliptic harmony turned sensors to low power. They pulled farther from human space. They watched from shadows. They waited. They feared what came next. On Haven 9, Reyes looked at stars. He smiled small. He said, "We did good today." He did not know ancient eyes saw him as something new, something unstoppable, something blind to its own terror. The galaxy felt smaller every cycle. P. The ecliptic harmony drifted far from human space now. The ship moved slow and careful. Its lights stayed dim to hide better. Vexlar called the full Coalition Council together through secure links. Many ancient species joined the meeting. Their voices came from worlds light years away. All waited to hear the truth about humans. Vexlar stood in the center of the quiet chamber. His crystal body glowed faint blue. He spoke clear and slow. "We watched humans for many cycles. We thought them weak. We thought them simple. We were wrong." He showed recordings from Haven 9. The Zorath retreat played again. Zorath soldiers ran. Humans stood tall, covered in blood and dust. The council gasped soft. Some turned away. Vexlar continued. "We sent the Zorath to test. Humans did not bend. They broke the test. They used tools we call primitive. They fought with bodies we call fragile. Yet they won." A voice from the council spoke. It belonged to the oldest Lirathi elder named Solara. "Wait? What makes them win? They have no great weapons, no long life, no perfect minds." Vexlar answered, "They win because they do not know they should lose. Every wound, every loss, every impossible chance they see as normal. They push forward, they fix, they build, they teach their children the same." Kaleth stepped forward. Kaleth's skin stayed deep black with heavy feeling. Kaleth said, "We looked at their history. They fought wars that killed millions. They survived plagues that wiped out cities. They faced storms and fires and cold that should end them. Yet each time they come back stronger. They call these things Tuesday." The council murmured, "Tuesday, what does it mean?" Kaleth said, "It means ordinary. It means every day. They think endless struggle is normal. They think pain is part of life. They think weakness is something to overcome, not accept." Thrime added data streams. Their science grows wild. They invent new things every cycle. They share knowledge free. Fast. Their young start where the old finish. No slow wisdom lost. No generations wasted. They compound. They accelerate. Solara asked, "Do they see their own power?" Vexlar shook his head slow. "No. They call themselves average. They say anyone can do what they do. They look at stars and say, 'We are small. We are nothing.' They do not see they fill the void with fire." A Zorath envoy joined the link, his voice rough with shame. "We lost 3 ships to miners. We lost warriors to wounded fighters. We felt fear. We Zorath never fear, yet we feared them." The council fell silent. Vexlar spoke again. "We must reclassify. Humans are not Tier 12 pre-contact. They are something else. We call them latent apex threat, unself-aware. They hold power they never use full because they think they have none." He showed more images. Human ships now crossed galaxies. Human colonies grew on dead worlds. Human children learned math that broke old laws. Human doctors fixed bodies other species left for dead. One image showed a human on a new planet. The human planted a tree. The human smiled at a red sky. The human said aloud, "We made it. We will make more." Vexlar said, "They plant, they build, they dream, they do not stop." Solara asked, "What do we do? Integrate them, guide them, destroy them?" Voices rose. Some said guide, some said watch, some said hide. Vexlar raised one crystal hand. "We do not provoke. We do not approach. We do not interfere. We observe from the edge. We stay silent. We stay far." Kaleth asked, "And if they notice, if one day they look around and see what they truly are?" Vexlar answered, "Then the galaxy changes. They will not conquer with hate. They will not rule with fear. They will spread because they cannot stop. They will fill every corner. They will change every rule. They will think they help." The council voted. They chose observe only, maximum distance, no contact, no tests, no gifts, no warnings. The meeting ended, links closed, the chamber grew. Quiet again. Vexlar turned to Kaleth and Thrime. He said, "We were wrong from the start. We saw flaws. We missed the truth. Their unnoticed power is the most dangerous kind, the power they use every day, without pride, without plan, without end." Kaleth said, "They terrify because they do not try to terrify. They just live, they just keep going." Thrime said, "And they multiply. They teach, they improve, they never rest." Vexlar looked out the window at the black. Nothing showed there. No stars close, no worlds near. The harmony floated alone, in deep empty. He whispered final words for the archive. "What makes humans most terrifying is not their rage, their weapons, their cunning. It is that all of this, their endurance, their ingenuity, their relentless adaptation, is merely what they do when they try to get by, and they still think they are ordinary." The ship powered down active sensors. It turned away from human light. It moved slow toward the rim of known space. Watch forever. Careful, quiet, afraid. Far away on a green world called New Dawn, a human family stood outside their new home. The father pointed at the sky. He said, "Look, kids, someday we go there, all the way." The children laughed and jumped. They said, We will go everywhere." The mother smiled. She hugged them tight. She said, "Yes, we always do." They did not know eyes watched from very far. They did not know ancient beings felt cold fear. They did not know the galaxy held its breath. They only knew tomorrow waited. They only knew they could try. They smiled at the stars. The stars looked back. And somewhere deep in the dark, the ecliptic harmony recorded one last note. Humans grow. They do not notice. They do not stop. The watchers closed their eyes. They waited. They hoped humans never looked up and asked, why not more? Because if humans asked that question, everything changed. Forever.